back to Pima Voices. My name is Savannah, and I'll be your host. Today, I'm sitting down with Missy Blair, who is Director for the Center of Transportation and Logistics at Pima Community College, and today we're going to be exploring the world of truck driving. How are you today, Missy?
Oh, great, thanks. It's Friday.
I know, we're all excited. It's Friday.
That's right.
So, for those who don't know, who is Missy?
So I am a Missy Blair, like you said. I'm the academic director for the Center for Transportation and Logistics. And what we have there is programs for CDL training, logistics, and autonomous vehicle training, as well as a non-credit program or two. I've been with the college since I started out very part-time in 2006 as a motorcycle instructor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is that's usually the reaction I get, like, what? So I did that very part-time while I had a different full-time job. And then that coordinator for that program came open and I really wanted the position. So at the time, it was just the motorcycle program that the person was coordinating. That eventually expanded into some other programs. And then in about 2010, someone said, hey, the program manager position over at the truck driving program is opening up. And my first immediate reaction was, I don't know anything about truck driving. So they're like, you don't have to, it's management. And that's not really how I operate.
Yeah.
So I like to walk the walk, but it really made sense in terms of President Lorraine Morales was with the college at the time, and they were looking to do some reorganization, et cetera. And so I was like, and I didn't want to get rid of my other cool programs. Like, who wants to get rid of a motorcycle program?
Yeah,
right?
no, who wants to do that?
And so I was like, okay, well, maybe if I apply for that. And I had talked to my dean at the time, Stan Steinman, for anyone who remembers Stan, and said, is there a way that we could, if I apply for this, if we could merge all of the Arizona Department of Training programs into one space? And it turned out that they were looking to do reorganization. So for those that are experiencing all of this new change now, it's been going on forever at the college. That was 10 years ago. So we're always looking to do things like that. So it all made sense. I applied, I interviewed, and got the acting position in 2010, and then it went through it all over again for the full-time position in 2011. So we had motorcycles, the CDL. We even kept one of my prior programs was a horse training, like not horse training, but a horse program. Yeah. So I was able to kind of hold on to that one. It kind of made sense, but that one eventually kind of went by the wayside. It wasn't really well
I was like,
attended.
I have not heard of that
Right.
at all.
Not many have. It was a great program, but it was just not, it wasn't real popular. So we had to make that decision to discontinue it. But and the traffic survival school programs are all under, and now we of course have logistics in there. So within the first year of me being the program manager, I did go through the CDL program because, like I said, I just believe in walking the walk. So I want to know what students are experiencing, right, when they go through our process. What's it mean to go get a DOT physical? What's it mean to register for the program? Things like that. The actual program itself, of course. So the staff was more than happy to, bruise me up a little bit for, 10 weeks or so. So, but it was fun. And I will say that I have my bachelor's, I have my master's, and that was probably the hardest program I've done because.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, it was very rewarding when I was done. And there's just something that's kind of, I want to say badass, but I don't know if I can say that.
You can say it.
Okay. So there's something just kind of badass about driving a, 80-foot truck around. And so, I do enjoy it. When I get the chance to do it, sometimes I still take the truck out to.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, do you drive the truck sometimes?
Yeah, I do every now and then. Usually, if I'm taking the full truck, I'll have someone with me just in case, like to outreach events. But the tractors, if we just have space for a tractor, I'll take the tractor out by myself. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You just get to, I always say we have all the coolest toys there. So. Not really toys, but we have all the coolest equipment. We'll put it that way to sound a little more professional. So and we have a great team. The team, like, we can't do things like this without the team that we have. So
yeah, I was gonna say, you said it was like one of the hardest things you've ever had to go through. I don't think about like how difficult it would be sometimes to like learn how to drive a truck of that magnitude. Like sometimes, like, I can barely drive my regular car day to day.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine what it's like getting up in that truck, first of all, because it's so high off the ground,
Hmm.
and getting in the seat and just feeling like an absolute giant driving around on the road.
Yeah, it is. And, and we're not just on the range, right? We are out on the road. So
Yeah.
we're out and, among city Tucson drivers, which is we have very big student letters on the truck. So everyone, or student driver letters. So everyone knows what it's a student usually behind the wheel. And if you see the truck, we train them well, but if they're in the beginning of the days, have a little patience, please, because they might be missing a gear out there or whatever. But so it's just, and it's super rewarding just to see the students. We've had students that have been near homeless, and they go out and I still remember I tell this story a lot, but when one of my first, I think it was like within the first year, we had a gentleman who had completed the program, and like as soon as he passed his test, because we also do the state testing on site. And as soon as he passed it, he was still like standing in front. I can see where he was standing and everything. He was standing in front of the building, and he called his employer. He was changing tires overnight, like big truck tires.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavy, it's hard work, in the middle of the night. And he gave us 2-week notice, like right there on site, to them, because he was just so excited to get out in the field and make some more money and just a better quality, thriving wage, instead of doing something that's not something that he really wanted to be doing.
Yeah, I love hearing stories like that. Whenever I have someone in like your seat and they're talking about like a student experience and things like that, like that's the stuff that just, it makes me so emotional sometimes. And I always say I'm such an emotional human, but it's really just because it's so it's such a rewarding feeling to know like the work that you're doing is literally like helping change someone's life.
Yeah.
And we all have a different path and a different story and everything else, but to be able to be part of that person's journey and like transform it is just like a whole nother level of emotion and feeling, and just yeah. I'm just like, I don't even know how to put it into words.
And that's just it. Like I as I get older, especially, like obviously we all need a paycheck, but I'd rather be doing something that does stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be somewhere every day working, right? It's like I want to be doing something like that we're giving back to the community and helping people be better, right? So.
Yeah. And then the CDL program, is it 6.5 weeks or is it 10 weeks or?
It depends on the schedule. So we offer nights, weekends, and we also offer daytime, like kind of like a sort of a full-time, but it's not full-time in the length. But so it can be as little as 6.5 weeks, and it can be as much as 11.5 weeks. So
okay, yeah, but still, it's a really like
fast.
Yeah, fast. It's affordable. It's a really great option for people who want to like, maybe they don't have the opportunity to go to school, get a different type of certificate that's going to take multiple semesters. This takes a few weeks. And so what would you say, like, for someone who is maybe exploring the idea of taking a course or a certificate underneath your department?
Yeah. I mean, and I think we've had people, I hear stories, people get their CDL so that they can make money to go to school, right? Because you can, especially now with remote learning, you can be in a truck and driving out on the road, and during your breaks, you can be doing classes online.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that option. Yeah.
There's like mobile houses, right? I mean, they're small houses, but they have everything they need inside of a truck to live for weeks at a time. So there's that aspect, but there's so many different options and careers in the transportation and logistics career field. So if you get your CDL, and sometimes to also say the CDL is an add-on to other positions, right? And it helps people make more money. So mechanics, linemen, things like that, where it's an additional credential. But in terms of, if someone gets tired of being out on the road, they can always go back off the road and just do local driving. They can be in a warehouse. They can be, logistics analysts. They can be regulatory compliance. There's so many different, purchasing is part of the logistics career field as well. Procurement, utility companies. There's just so many different avenues to go with, and as you're in the industry, you just learn more about those avenues. So
yeah, and like I mentioned earlier too, before we got started, like I feel like I don't know enough about what goes on at your guys' location, and I'm like, if I don't really know what's happening there, like there's got to be other people who don't really know what's going on over there. But you offer so much. There's so much for people to like take and learn and get a certificate and do this and do that. Like you just said so many things. I'm like, I didn't even know you could do all that. Like,
And I've been doing this like I said, for about 11 years now, and I hear it all the time. I didn't even know the college from people internally.
Yes.
I didn't even know we had a program, and it's just like this little knife that goes in my chest and twists each time. I'm like, oh,
Oh
we're just not. It's hard to get
no.
that word out all the
Yeah.
time, but um, it's we're working on it. We're getting better, but things like this, we appreciate the opportunity to do
Yeah,
this.
like we know it exists, but like I said, I'm not always the best about, taking all that in sometimes. But then I think about that's the beauty of working with the college and things like that is to continue to learn of
Hmm.
what is being offered. And when I'm like in public, I tell people like, oh, there's this cool new thing going on at Pima. And they're like, we didn't even know Pima did stuff
Right.
like that, And it's like so cool to be able to share that information with others because a lot of times people don't want to go to school because they feel like they don't have the option that they want to do or get the education that they want. They're just like, oh, I don't want that. Like, that's not what I want to go to school for this or that. But there's so many doors of opportunity now
Hmm.
that, like, yeah, they can come to you and get so many
Right.
different areas and
Yeah.
avenues of a career choice that, like you said, is going to be like a thrivable, livable wage.
Hmm.
And a lot of the programs that you offer are in a shorter time frame too, which could fit into a lot of people's schedules very beautifully. And
Yes.
so I think you guys offer quite a lot, which is quite
Yeah.
amazing too,
Yeah.
under your belt. And so, what are some of the other things that maybe we haven't quite talked about yet that it's also offered there?
Yeah, so we have Class A and Class B CDL
Hmm.
programs, and we have the logistics. And the logistics program has a stackable credential that starts out as a certificate program, and then there's also an associate's as well that stacks into that. And then we have the autonomous vehicle driver and operations specialist program. It's a bit early in industry right now, so we're looking right now to and basically what that is, just to back up a little bit, it's to help upskill drivers for potential, downsizing or downgrading in the truck driver job due to autonomous technology.
Hmm.
So we've been working on that program since like 2018, I think, with Too Simple when they were in town. They've left the industry now, but we have an advisory committee now with nationwide autonomous trucking companies that are a part of it, and I'm really excited about that because we need their input at this point to be like, okay, now where do we go? And
Hmm.
that's one of the we are part of the workforce division, and that's one of the I think this program was really good in terms of how we also work internally. So with this program, it's a interdisciplinary program. So we have multiple disciplines within it, and so which is challenging across especially because we're not used to doing that very much. So I'm excited to see where we take that next. I'm also excited about not just our community's impact that it has, but we've had community colleges across the nation reach out to us about it
Oh,
because people are
wow.
starting to
Yeah.
realize, over the
This is the
past,
next step.
yeah, this is the
Hmm.
next step and what's it look like. And we're still early in that. Because we are early, the credit program wasn't viable. And so we've had to move it to, thankfully, our leadership in the workforce division, now our provost, Dr. Rourke, and Amanda Abens had the foresight to set up our curriculum architecture a little bit differently. So we have um, a marketable skills achievement award now. So we
Oh,
are
okay.
we are
Hmm.
looking to transfer that program to that path instead of the certificate program. And that'll also help us serve business and industry a little bit faster and better, because most of the time they just want the skills, right?
Hmm.
Nothing against associate's degrees or bachelor's degrees or master's degrees. We have those as employees, but sometimes, like we talked about earlier, people just want a quicker
Yeah, it's
way,
just
and
hmm.
employers just want them to get the skills that they need to then internally, skill them up from there. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong. Like we've talked, I mean, not necessarily you and I, but on this podcast, we've talked about multiple times of how like um everyone's career path is different, and that's okay if like someone wants to go get a bachelor's or a master's or whatever, and
right.
then someone else is just going to get a certificate and get the skills that they need. It doesn't make anything any different, any greater, any lesser. It's just a different career path and what that career path is being asked of. And
Hmm.
so I think it's really great that you guys have these programs that will literally offer those skills for people to just get a job. And there's a lot of times that people can get a job before they even finish their training with you guys, right? Eh,
Yeah. We have recruiters that come in and visit, especially now we're starting to see an uptick. The visits had slowed down between COVID, and they're just starting to come back now between how freight has been for the companies and them having that expense to send recruiters because they're oftentimes not here in Tucson. So they'll come from
mm.
Phoenix. We have one who comes from Texas. And so um, they're now starting to come back in person and recruit to our classes, on site, which is great. So we're excited about that. The industry is pretty cyclical, right? So sometimes we'll see ebb and flows, but it's still something that if people graduate and they want, especially if they want to go out on the road, they can get a job pretty quickly with that. So
And then another thing is, you guys offer um, like classes with PimaSTART, the Center of Opportunity. And so how is that partnership and going and getting those students the courses taken?
yeah, so we started it out with the CDL program. So ours is a little bit different that we don't, most of the PimaSTART programs are on site at the Center for Opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is at our location for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
big trucks,
Big
etc.
trucks.
Yeah. So, but we're very close to the location wise, we're very close to the Center for Opportunity. So we've trained, I want to say 4 or 5 of their students so far. And I think my favorite story is that one of them has gone back to the center with his truck and bought pizzas for
Aw.
the current guests that were there. And so I just kind of, let them know, just gave them, I think, just, a little bit of hope that, okay, this is what can happen, even if
Yeah.
it's not in truck driving or, there is hope there for things to get better. Right. So, and we're actually starting in June. We have a PimaSTART for the logistics program starting on
Oh,
site at the Center for
nice.
Opportunity
Yeah,
also.
that's
So
great.
we're excited about that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then, what would you say to any student who, what would you say to them if they want to like go ahead and get enrolled in
Mhm.
CDL training or anything like that or logistics, within your program?
Yeah, so we have, I mean, I would say do it, especially if you're already interested in it. We don't have to twist your arm, right? So,
Come on in.
yeah, we've already talked about the numerous, avenues that are there for people.
Hmm.
And I should say, I didn't mention it. It's not just especially in the logistics, it's not just in the logistics field. I mean, that goes to healthcare, restaurants, hotels. It's what they're learning there goes across so many different industries. So, there are just a lot of opportunities. So, get with an advisor. The website has, if you just search truck driving or logistics on the website, the numbers should show up pretty, well. It should be well searchable, I
It
should say.
is actually. I searched it.
Oh,
It
there
comes
you
up
go.
pretty
All right,
quickly and
there you go.
easily.
That's
Yeah. I'm
good.
like, truck driving Pima, and it's
Yeah.
like the first one. So
Yes. Yep. So
I can attest to that. It's
that's
very
good.
easy to find the information,
That's
and
good.
I will link it as well.
Good to know.
And before we end our session, I want to pivot to slightly because we are getting ready to essentially start El Tour
Oh
and
yeah.
getting people signed up. And you are a big cyclist, and you participated on the Pima Foundation's El Tour team last year, and you were the first person who signed up already. I was like, there she is. She is ready to go
Right.
and get started for El Tour.
Yeah, so there's a couple different things there. So I've only signed up already because my son bought me a gift certificate for it this year. And so when it opened up, I was just like, let me do this now before I forget. So I am not like a top tier cyclist. So I just want to make that clear, which is also, so if anyone's watching this and they're wondering if they should do it, you don't have to be, I don't go out there to race the L Tour,
Yeah.
right? I use exercise for my own mental and, physical well-being. We all have stressful jobs, and sometimes I just need to get out on a bike and go ride.
Mm-hmm.
I mostly mountain bike, honestly, but El Tour is just a way for me to, as I get closer to it, to get on my road bike for a little bit of time and get some longer rides in. But I try and use my cycling at least once a year to fundraise, and I was doing it a while for kids with cancer, and for personal reasons, I just had to step away from that for a bit. And so I was looking for a new one, and then I don't know if it came up in a newsletter or what, but I was like, this is great. Something, the next best thing that's, I might as well, if I'm out there huffing and puffing and can't breathe, I might as well do it for a good, so the scholarship program is just, I grew up in a single parent household, and I went into the military 2 weeks after high school because it was just, mom's busy trying to survive, right? And working
Yeah.
7 days a week. And we didn't really know our college options. And if there's a way to make that better for someone else, then the scholarship program and supporting that and is what I don't mind putting my time toward and effort. So
Well, we thank you so much for
yeah,
being a part of the foundation team for El Tour and helping us fundraise for scholarships and funding for Pima Community College students. That's, obviously the thing that we're most passionate about is providing those funds for program support for students and things like that. And so anyone out there who's a cyclist, you can join Missy and I'll be doing the 5K. Is that what it is? I don't even remember. I was like, I did it last year and it was not great. So we're going to beat my time this year. So whether you're a cyclist or a runner, you're more than welcome to join the Pima Foundation El Tour team and help us fundraise for program support and scholarship support within Pima Community College students. Thank you so much for coming in today and talking to me more about everything that's going on under your umbrella, because I think there's a lot of, I don't know, coolness is like just the word I can think of right now. There's so much coolness going on over there and there's so much opportunity and I don't think people know about it enough. And so I'm thankful that you were here to help me understand that program a little bit more and that we were able to share the message about that. And thank you for signing up for El Tour and helping us fundraise as well.
Yep. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thanks for anyone who sat through this, 20 minutes or so. Thank you for doing so.
And also I wanted to say thank you for always coming to our events. I always see you at events and everything, and you're always there, and you're just such a big supporter of just like the college in general. And so I appreciate your presence when we're doing the events and things like that around the college. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
You're welcome. You guys are doing important work and it needs to be supported. So
thank you.
Yep.
And thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.